For more analysis on this, Mark Nelson joins me live now from Chicago. He is the managing director at Radiant Energy Group. Thank you for being with us on the program. Now, this transit agreement between Ukraine and Gazprom, it accounts for half of Russia's gas exports to the European Union. How big of an impact is this going to have on Russia financially?
Well, first I have to mention it's half of their gas pipeline exports. Russia's going to be still exporting liquefied natural gas into world markets. So this is actually not a big financial loss for Russia. It's not nothing. It's a few billion euros per year probably. But if we compare that to the massive oil revenues of over 100 billion euros per year, it's a small part. Now, and the Russian economy is hurting. Any extra helps a little bit. But let's just be clear that traditionally natural gas was a little bit more policy and profit, and oil was definitely a profit center for Russia. So they're losing a last bit of control that this pipeline represented. And that's probably going to cost them a little bit more than the actual rubles lost.
So what about in the European Union? How are they going to be affected by this change?
Well, Europe has made repeated policy decisions not to have its own energy supplies. So they wanted to hand over energy production to Russia. Now they're going to switch over to the United States. So the United States is going to make natural gas, send it to liquefied natural gas plants in Texas and Louisiana, and ship it over to Europe. But Europe has gas. They just chose not to drill for it. So I think that now's the time when Europe's going to have permanently expensive natural gas supplies compared to other places in the world. The pipelines represented some of the last chances to have cheaper gas and not be dependent on the more expensive liquefied natural gas from overseas.
So one alternative for the European Union might be rather exploring its own gas opportunities. But what about for Russia? What's its alternative?
They're going to need to send that natural gas to friendly states and see if they will take more, but there's limits there. They're also going to need to send more to liquefied natural gas facilities and send that natural gas to countries that have not sanctioned any of their liquefied natural gas exports. Also, Europe can turn on nuclear plants. It should be noted that this is going to be a painful winter where we're already seeing natural gas prices escalate even before this pipeline closure. Europe is still planning to shut down nuclear plants in the dead of winter. These nuclear plants directly substitute for natural gas in electricity and allow electrification onto the grid without paying for expensive natural gas from abroad. Europe can both explore for natural gas in the future, avoid closing its own nuclear plants, and restart plants that they've recently closed.
Well, looking at the situation as it stands now, because what you've just said brings me to my next question. How is this going to impact the people on the ground and their bills?
Well, some countries are going to get it worse than others because some countries were still using cheaper Russian pipeline gas up to this moment. But on average, in the European Union, we're going to see higher natural gas prices than if this pipeline were still running. And we also have the chance this year for a pinch if there's a lot of cold weather coming and gas pipeline supplies are not replaced by enough LNG to make up for just how much gas Europe is burning in an already colder winter, the coldest winter they've had since 2022 when most of the gas through the pipelines was lost.
Okay, Mark Nelson, thank you so much for being with me here on the NewsHour and sharing that insight. I appreciate it.